Go. Hey, hi, it's Mike Pesto, mornings on My975, and I was actually thinking you're going to be coming a little later, because I was going to zip through the building and meet you out front. This is actually the employee entrance for Momentum Broadcasting. But since you're already here, yeah, forget going through the kitchen. Let's go to the front, and I'll show you what we do here on a daily basis. So yeah, this is the employee entrance, which is where I was just trying to go through. And so we get parked all back here, leaving you plenty of room when you decide to come and visit us, whether you're coming for a tour or whether you're a client or a potential client, whatever the situation happens to be. And if you're an up-and-coming business and you want some space, Ray, show them. We've got plenty of space. So check with Bill inside, and I'll tell you all about that tremendous opportunity you may have. But we are right here, right off of Noble, actually Mineral King. 700 East Mineral King is where we are. Noble, of course, being on the other side of 198. And we'll get inside here in a minute and see exactly what it is we do. I'm going to introduce you to Bill, who is our general manager. Amy, who is our general sales manager. I know she's here today. Now, there are 4 radio stations within the family of Momentum Broadcasting. There's the station that I'm on, which is My975. There's 106.7 K-Jug Country, station I used to be on years ago. Classic Rock 99.7 and Hits 104.9. There's a 5th station that I don't know if many people know about, and I'm going to introduce you to that station as well with this little tour. See, you get some things with this particular virtual tour that you may not get if you were to come by in a pre or post-COVID world and get a tour of the station. But as Ray, who's holding our camera today, say hi, Ray. He waves hi, he's shy. We're happy to show you, here we are at the front of Momentum Broadcasting. So when you come for a visit, once it's safe for everyone to come and visit us once again, this is what you'll see from the front as opposed to what I showed you in the back. So come on in and we'll see who we happen to bump into and what all happens here. Now, first, obviously, you traveled to get here. If you're thirsty, we have lovely refreshments just waiting on you the moment you come through the door. And then, again, you see 4 stations here, but again, there is 5, which I'll let you know about here in just a bit. Now, here's something else. We have these DigiKeys, which I was having trouble with mine in the back a moment ago. I'm going to take the glasses off because they keep on fogging up. These are the keys that let us into various parts of the building. Now, there's some rooms that you can get into, that can get in with this, some rooms I can't, which again, I'll show you that here in a minute too. But this is one. It works today. That's good. All right, so we'll start off at the top of the pyramid with our general manager, Bill, who is just returning to his office from a very, delightful meeting I'm sure he just had with someone very important.
Yes, I did.
Bill, how's it going?
Just spoke to the president.
Well.
Yes, of the local men's club. Sorry about that.
So, in a nutshell, other than keeping us all in line, what do you do?
Watch a lot of videos and spend time playing solitaire. This job here is just to make sure that everything runs smoothly and that the people that I work with have the things that they need to get their jobs done. That's what I do, help move things along and keep an eye on everything. Kind of like the sous chef in a kitchen.
So who would be the chef then?
The owner of the station, yes.
Very good point.
Yes.
All right, well, thanks, Bill.
You're welcome. Have a good trip.
Oh, well, we definitely will. This is Amy, our general sales manager.
Hi.
Handles all the clients, so everything comes through her.
Yep.
And she helps facilitate with our sales department and make sure things are hit and make sure that, we've got the big board here, which, we can't, don't show that because that's top secret stuff. We don't want to share the industry secrets with everybody.
Yeah.
But is there like a typical day for you? I would imagine not, but what things always happen for you every day?
Always tons of email, tons of responses, lots and lots of paperwork. But I would say this job is a lot of fun. It's all of our jobs here are fun, but the sales department, it's a fun job. Our sales reps get to go out and meet with different clients and help them figure out, areas that they may need improvement content in, and they come back to the office, we brainstorm commercial ideas, schedule ideas, and just we're doing everything we can to help clients get more business through their door, and just help them grow their business. And we've been very successful at it. We've had many, many clients as long as I've been here, which is 35 years. So yeah, we're very fortunate that we have a lot of the same advertisers for many, many years, and we're always getting new advertisers. And our focus is really about what we can do to help our clients grow their businesses. That's our main focus.
What is it like for you personally when a client comes to you and says, I really want to get this message across, and then in conjunction with Mike O'Neill, who we'll speak to in just a little bit, you get that and they hear that commercial for the first time and I had no idea you guys could pull this off.
Yeah, it's super rewarding, actually. That's, a really fun part of the job is, when we talk to the client, we find out what their needs are. Is there an area of their business that they need to improve more than others? Is there a day of the week that's slower than others? Is there, a product line that they need help with? And then put our heads together and come up with a great commercial idea that solves their problem, and then get it on the air, and people respond to the messaging. So, especially right now with My975, people are loving the Christmas music, and so many people are tuned into it. So our advertisers that are on that station have been seeing great results from it. So we're successful when our clients are successful.
And the nice thing is, especially with My975, a schedule is not going to cost anyone anywhere near as much as they may think. It's a lot cheaper to advertise on radio than you may think it is.
It is. And the reach is far greater than most mediums as well. And it's just if you think about it, people are, they're at home on the weekends, they're streaming, listening to the radio station, they're in their car. I mean, just drive down Mooney on any given day, it's always packed. The streets around Visalia, they're always packed. People are in their car, they're listening to the radio. They're not watching TV in their car, they're not reading magazines or newspapers, or hopefully they're not on Facebook while they're driving.
No, wow.
Or social media, but they're in their car with the radio on. So radio is very, very effective for reaching potential customers. And you reach them closest to their buying decision because they're in their car, they're either driving by your business, or they're just out, searching for what they need.
If anyone wants to reach out to you directly then, if they're kind of intrigued and they want to get some specific numbers, how can they reach you?
Oh, they can call me at 553-1508. Area code 559-553-1508. That's my direct line. They can also reach me at Amy at Momentum Broadcasting. But yeah, we do that a lot. Clients call up and, they have questions like, what does it cost, and we work up commercials for them. We give them commercial suggestions. If they like it, great. If they're not ready to do it right now, that's not a problem, but at least they have an idea. At least they're searching for ideas to help their business, and that's what we're all about. We're just all about trying to help their customers, help, grow their business by bringing new people through the door, and just reminding, because a lot of places have been, a lot of businesses have been in Visalia for a very long time. And a lot of them just assume that everybody knows who they are, but there are so many new people that have moved into the area.
Yep.
I've got a couple salespeople that have just moved in from down south, so they have no idea the history behind a lot of these businesses, or how long they've been around, or their reputation. So, it's just clients need to remind people that they're there and continue to invite people through their door and just stay top of mind.
Oh, perfect. Well, thanks, Amy. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
So the account executives have their offices here, very close to Amy's office. So if they have any questions, they can go directly to Amy or Bill. Bill mentioned a moment ago, the owner, whenever the owner happens to be here, this is one of the offices that they'll kind of hang out in and do some paperwork and such. You have to have your hands sanitized in 2020 and 2021, so we'll make sure we have plenty of these throughout the building. And I'll show you this quickly. This is where Jennifer Nettles likes to hang out. Well, it's a cardboard cutout of Jennifer Nettles. If you're a fan of 106.7 John Country, you know who she is, and we'll introduce you to that station in just a bit. But this is where we could kind of hang, again, in a pre- and post-COVID world when we actually could sit closer than 6 feet together, and refrigerator area, ice machine, and some other stuff to keep us fed when we're not on the air doing our thing or selling or doing all the other stuff that we do. We have 2 conference rooms. This one is more of the fishbowl. And I kind of call it that. I'm sure others do as well, because you see everything that takes place in this room. Not exactly soundproof, but for more casual meetings with clients for the first time, sometimes sales will be in here. When we have meetings with people who are going to be doing some things promotionally, we may meet with them in here. And obviously we're decked out for the holidays right now with all our Secret Santa stockings hung on the wall. With care, of course. So for the most part, everything from the door on this way is all sales. Now we'll enter into the programming side of things. This is Rick McNeil's office. He is the program director of 106.7 Judd Country as well as Classic Rock 99.7. I'm pretty sure he's in one of the studios down here, so we'll meet him in just a bit. Randy Hendricks, this is his office. He's the program director of Hits 104.9 as well as My975. He'll be in a little bit later on this afternoon, but I think Chad is actually in the Hit studio. We'll talk to him in just a second. This is the room where, no, we don't go in all that often, because this is what allows us to create the signal in all these studios and send them to the towers. And from there they get transmitted so that you can hear everything and you can stream everything. And we've got thermostats on the wall here so that everything in this room stays at a very constant temperature. And there are alarms that go off if those temperatures change, because this is the heart of the programming side of the radio station. All these towers reflect information that comes in or goes out. And when we have remotes, we've got equipment for that, and the streaming equipment for that. And there's some storage in here as well, but for the most part, this is, if anything happened to this room, from a radio station standpoint, we're all in trouble. So that's one of the reasons we don't go in that room very often, so that it's plausible deniability. We say, I haven't entered that room in weeks. Our first station we'll get to is Hits 104.9. Here's Chad, who, is there anything you don't do in this building other than maybe maintenance and vacuuming?
That's pretty much about it. Daryl said, hey, dude, this is my job. You ain't going to do it.
So you do traffic every morning on all 4 radio stations on our group.
Yep.
And you are heard on a multitude of the stations in our group.
Yeah, for hits, I do fill-ins, weekends, whenever needed. Try to help out.
So, and that's one of the things I know that you really do a great job with is, you know, with Randy especially out today for a little while, is a second-hand man whenever he needs anything done, or the stuff that he just doesn't want to do.
Yeah, pretty much.
He hands off to Chad, and Chad makes sure it happens.
Yeah, well, sometimes. Sometimes I didn't get the email or didn't see it, but, you know, other than that, I mean, yeah, it's try to do anything and everything you can is the main thing. Learn more. You know, knowledge is big. You can learn a lot here.
Yeah. So that's Chad. Again, I'm sure if you listen to any 4 of the stations, you have heard his voice, and you will in the future if you decide to start listening now.
Now.
Thanks, Chad. I think Rick is in here. Yeah, well, actually, there's a little mini meeting going on, but we'll see if we can't interrupt this. Excuse, can we come in for just a moment?
Come on in.
So Rick McNeil and Rose, actually, who does middays on 106.7 Judd Country as well. Just giving everyone a little virtual tour since they can't come to the stations and see what's going on.
You picked a perfect day to do it. Everyone's around and everyone's actually trying to look busy today.
Because we know the boss is in the building.
That's right, the boss is in the building and people are acting like they're working.
Too funny.
So I asked Amy, I'll ask you guys, on a typical day, is there anything, because I know we all juggle different hats and do different things, is there certain things that do take place every single day for both of you guys?
every single day, we have to schedule music for the entire day. No matter what, if we don't schedule music, then we're just gonna go silent. So, no matter what, we have to put in the music. Other than that, every day is different around here. We have different clients coming in with different needs. We have different people calling on the phones. We have different things going on in country music, and so we just try to stay really loose. But the things that happen very typically every day are putting in the music, putting in the liners, the things that we're gonna talk about so that everybody has some focus. And other than that, things can be very, very different every day.
All right, how about with you, Rose?
For me, it's like show prepping, just kind of going online every day and seeing what everybody's up to and finding new interesting things to talk about. Like, I think one of the last things I talked about was Tim McGraw up on this ladder, way, way up high.
Saw that.
It's like, hey, either, you know, she's getting me to decorate or she's trying to kill me, get rid of me. It was just really a funny post that they had posted on their social media. So I like to go to the social media. I like to see what everybody's up to. I see any new announcements on artists and what they're doing, and that makes it fun. Then we can relay that information to the audience and have a good time with it.
How important is it for you to make sure, since we are representative of the South Valley, to make sure that we talk about things that are going on in the community and the fact that we all live here? How important is that for you and for your show?
Well, it's very important. Even though I don't live here, I do work here. And it's very important. And we've basically grown to be friends with a lot of people here in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have lots of great connections. Like I work with the CASA, court-appointed special advocates and the folks here. And then, of course, we do a lot of shows, public service, public affairs shows. So we're connected with a lot of the nonprofit organizations here. It's very important to let people know what's going on in their own community, because sometimes people, they go to work and they're taking care of the kids, that kind of thing, and may not be aware of what's happening with our local community, some of the organizations that may need help, or some of the organizations that they could get help from as well. So
Good point.
very important.
Well, thank you. Don't want to interrupt the meeting too much that you're having, so we'll be on our tour.
All right, have
Thanks,
fun.
guys.
Thanks for coming by.
You see the banners here. Every year, K-Jug participates in a St. Jude Radiothon to assist with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So that's why you'll see the banners up there and some of the little notes to remind them of things to talk about during the Radiothon. This is the studio for Classic Rock 99.7, so if that's one of the stations you listen to, this is the room where all of that happens. A lot of times things are done either in other parts of the building, that's why the studio is empty right now, or especially in a COVID world, some of our hosts are doing their shows from home. So a lot of times you'll see some of the studios are empty, like you'll see with My975. Jennifer Grant is actually on the air right now, but again, in the COVID world we're living in right now, she's actually doing her show from home, but this is the studio where that all happens. I did mention earlier that there are actually 5 radio stations. My975 is actually also simulcast on 1270 AM, which has a much broader reach, but it's an AM signal, so it's the quality of the music isn't as good as you would like with an FM signal, but technically, while there are 4 music stations, there's 5, technically speaking, with the transmitters and all that, because again, we've got the My975 music and talk and everything else on AM as well as FM. So this is where all that happens. And again, this is where I do my morning show every day. I've got some of the things that I decorate. I don't know why, but for some reason, people send me rocks. I'm not Charlie Brown. I don't know where it all came from, but it may have started a while back with some friends of mine with a group here in Visalia. And the name of the group, and they're going to kill me for forgetting the name of the group, is they basically have rocks painted. And they hide them in certain areas, and you go and find them. For a while, they weren't able to do that because of COVID-19. Well, they're back. Oh, Rock Visalia with Kindness. That's the name of the group. So if you happen to see painted rocks around, some have been painted for me. Others are just fun. You pick them up, and then you could either hold on to them or hide them somewhere else and spread some love. So that's what happens in this studio with me every morning, and again with Jennifer Grant now, and with Mike O'Neill in the afternoon, who is probably in his office. We'll meet him in just a second. Talked with Amy a little while ago about the commercials that we do. This is our main production room. This is the room that Mike O'Neill spends most of his time in. And I'll quickly show you some of the tools that we use to do that. We have something called Vegas Pro, which is what's called a digital multi-track program. So I'll quickly just show you that here, see what loads up. It'll always save the last session that you had, so I wonder what's going to pop up here, if anything. Well, not much, but shows you have different tracks and you can record on each track. You could put music in, sound effects. You could have as many tracks as you want, and you can do all sorts of fun stuff with that. And then from here, you can import directly into this system here, which is called Wide Orbit. And there we have all the music, all the commercials, all the music beds, all the sound effects. Everything is in there under different categories, so it's easy to find. So that's the system that we use to get commercials in and handle all the other stuff that you would hear on the air. And we have another production room slash recording room. So this is a secondary production room. We do some other production is here. Some of the shows that are on the weekends, like on Hits 104.9, we have Ryan Seacrest and the American Top 40. That comes into this room and that gets produced and then sent out over the air. So some secondary production as well as some imaging basically takes place in this room. And let's see if we can't find or stumble across Mike O'Neill. So here is Mike. Mentioned him a moment ago, handles, in working with Amy, making sure that when a client has a vision for what they want a commercial to sound like or the message they want to get across, Amy gets that information from the client, Amy talks to Mike, and Mike makes that happen. How difficult is it or easy is it at times to make sure that the vision of the client is reflective in what they actually hear at the end? And how often do you actually get to find out from the client directly that, boy, whoever did that commercial absolutely nailed it?
I hear back from the salesperson, especially when they're very, very happy. I'll get an email from that salesperson.
Uh-huh.
But it's just a matter of finding out what's important to that client, and then finding a way to cut through the clutter of the listeners' daily lives, telling a good story, making them laugh, being relevant to that particular client's product category. I remember back when none of us had any money in 2007, and Mercedes came out with a great commercial. They knew the only people in the world that could afford Mercedes-Benzes were people with money, and that was mostly not any of us. And they had a guy in a very expensive suit, a little bit snotty, saying, the reason you've asked us why, Mercedes-Benz has all these amenities, and at the end of the commercial he goes, why? Because it's a Mercedes-Benz, that's why. And the average person with money was like, yeah, that's why I buy it. So they were very good at focusing in on their actual target audience when most of us couldn't afford to pay attention. So that's what you do. You have to target who find out who they're targeting and attract them and cut through the clutter of the listeners' lives with a relevant message and get in their queue there, make them top of mind for when they decide to go out and buy that thing. That's why ba-da-ba-ba-ba works.
As a production director, how gratifying is it for you when you see a copy come down or see a client and know what his vision is or her vision is, and you create your own vision? You can hear the commercial in your head, and then you actually hear it produced exactly the way you wanted it to sound, and the client is thrilled beyond belief. How gratifying is that?
It is gratifying, but I have learned over the past 42 years not to get upset and not to think that the client's telling me that my baby's ugly if they don't like a certain part of it. Just getting to making them happy is the most gratifying part. As long as we can deliver something that I really believe is going to work for them, then I'm thrilled.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate the time.
You got it. Thank you, Michael.
Right behind you is Drew, who apparently has a research project
hello.
on Hanford that's due.
I'm promoting for my next big show. It's a paycheck winning award winning show. 5:30 a.m. to 10 on KJUG. Thank you.
So, I got to ask, what have you read? What little tidbit about Hanford have you read in that book that would surprise us?
In 1962, Mike, there was a freak snowstorm that shut the valley down. Inches of snowstorm, and 15 miles to the west of Hanford is Naval Air Station Lemoore. The snow drifts were so high that it shut it down.
Wow.
and no one had chains on their cars because it's the valley. It doesn't snow here.
Probably had no snowplows either, so.
But in
can
1962,
Can you predict when that's going to happen again?
2020, before the end of the year, it's gonna happen.
Okay. You heard it here. And if not, the murder hornets will get us.
That's right.
Yeah. Thanks, Drew. All right, so here we have the man with the keys to the room I can't get into. This is Tony.
All the good stuff is in there.
So Tony is our promotions director. All the promotions for the station, as you can see, concerts and everything else gets funneled through him. So he makes sure that he finds out about it through sales or programming, and then you let us know what's happening. A lot of things that we do, I've noticed this year in particular, have been lately the food drive and the Stuff the Bus campaign. Is there a particular promotion that you've really loved that the stations have done to this point, whether it's one of those or one of the concerts?
Definitely the fundraisers are definitely fun because you're doing something for the community. So Food Link, we've done every year, like you said, Stuff the Bus. And then around Christmas time, we do a lot of like your toy drive. You know, hopefully people still come out, even though they can't come and see our ugly mugs. At least they can come and drop off some toys and feel good that they help the community. I'd say the fundraisers are the most fun, as far as like the most rewarding, and then the concerts. So
Okay.
hopefully 2021 will be concert driven again, and whenever you need a prize, you get it from the promotions department. Me, Spencer, and Ray, we definitely show up wherever they tell us to show up.
Perfect. All right, thanks, Tony.
Thank you.
Appreciate
You
it.
guys enjoy the tour.
And just to prove the point, here's that key I was telling you about earlier. This is the prize closet where all those prizes are. No. Will not let me in. But you... Chad's got a key that gets in there.
Hold on, let me show that mine works, and he'll be jealous.
Can we
Wait, don't-
deactivate his
Don't
key?
see this.
I don't know if this is authorized entry or not.
Oh,
All right, well, I'm not even allowed to look in there.
that's
because
where all
I
the
know-
Taylor Swift stuff went.
Okay, so Mike, hey, tell us, where do you hail from originally?
Originally, was born in Arlington Heights, Illinois. I've lived in Buffalo Grove, Illinois. By the way, this is all just outside of Chicago, southwest suburbs, and just beyond that. So Buffalo Grove, Illinois, Island Lake, Illinois, Crystal Lake, Illinois, not where Jason Voorhees hang out. And then spent most of the time, before I moved to California in 1986, in the town of Huntley, Illinois. I'm sorry, the village of Huntley, Illinois.
Okay, good. Glad we got that squared away. When did you first get interested in radio?
Jeez. It was shortly after moving to California. My mom was the receptionist at a radio station in the Salinas Valley, 102.5 KDON. That was back when they were going by and a half. So she was the receptionist. Jamie Hyatt, who is now at a station in Hawaii, was the program director at the time. And I wanted to get into radio, so I begged and pleaded with my mom to set up something I could get in. She said, listen, if I do it for you, you're not going to take it seriously, so I will do for you what I would do for anybody else. I will schedule a meeting with the program director, and if you impress him, you'll get something out of it. If not, then you won't. And I started off at the bottom, did whatever he wanted me to do, whenever he wanted me to do it. I tried to be the person that he was the first one to call all the time, so I would always say yes, and that's kind of what got me in the door.
Okay, all right, fair enough. What was appealing about it to you initially? Do you remember? I mean,
I
it's been a
do,
while.
and it goes back to having grown up just outside Chicago and listening to WLS outside of Chicago, and Steve Dahl and Gary Meyer, two legends in radio, did the afternoon show, and I used to listen to them all the time. And just thought, how cool would it be once I have to start working for a living to do what they do and entertain people. And I've always wanted to have the type of show, be the type of personality that people would listen and say, I want to do that at some point as well.
Was the KDON job Was that an internship or was that your actual first job?
That was my first job
Okay, that
in
was your first
radio.
job in
It was
radio.
technically the third job I ever had. First job was working at a pizza place where I actually spun pizzas.
Yeah.
Second job was at a gas station, pumping gas and doing the full and self-service pumps. And then third job I ever had was working in radio.
You settled last and least. Huh? You have mentors along the way?
Jamie Hyatt, definitely. There was a guy who did the afternoon show at KDON at the time, Eric Sanders. I remember distinctly for hours, I would sit in the studio and just watch him. Because I loved his delivery, I loved his energy. This is back in the day when we had dials as opposed to faders on the board. And I would see him, get his nervous energy out by messing with the dials, even though it really wasn't doing anything. And for the longest time, I would do all that same sort of stuff on the air that no one would see, but just to kind of get some of that nervous energy out. And I definitely got a lot from him growing up. And then when I went to San Francisco, I worked with a guy named JD. He did the afternoon show. I was his producer, and I learned a lot from him as well. And at one point, when I left the station in the Salinas Valley, he actually moved in and took over the morning show. So it was kind of an interesting full circle moment.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How many jobs have you had on the other radio?
Quite a few.
Can you keep track of them all?
Let's see. So the first one was obviously working at 102.5 KDON, and eventually I was actually there when they made the switch to 102.5 KDON. I worked for a legend in oldies and classic rock, Bob Hamilton, when he was at KYA in San Francisco. Worked at KFRC, and this is all behind the scenes for the most part, stuff I did there. I worked back on the air, back in the Salinas Valley, a station called KCAT. From there I moved over to a country legend in the Salinas Valley, K-Tom. Then I went to Las Vegas. I worked for a sports radio network for a while. Back to K-Tom once again. Back to Las Vegas, I worked at KWNR. Back to K-Tom again. From there, my morning show partner and I decided we wanted to mess with the trend a little bit. Instead of going to Vegas, we went to a station in Peoria, Illinois, The Wolf. And from there, came back to California and started up at K-Jug back in 2011. And it was a few years after that, I was given the opportunity to take over the morning show on My975.
Wow, that's a lot of jobs. Is that common in the industry?
It can be. A program or a production director told me once when I was working at KFRC, there's typically two ways of doing it. You could start at the bottom in a major market and slowly work your way up, or you go into smaller markets and you rise quickly, and from there you can bounce around. And you could be as much of a gypsy as you want to. I've got friends of mine who started off in Alabama, and they've worked in Arizona and San Diego and Baltimore. And for the most part, when you start wanting to plant some roots, and I'm to that point now in my career where I don't want to go anywhere else. God willing, I'll still be in this building to the day I walk away from radio forever. But a lot of times, jocks will stay regional. So they'll stay on the West Coast or in the Midwest because they just have that preference. But the more willing you are to bounce around, the more opportunities you're going to have.
Yeah. What was your favorite job of all? Which one do you remember the most fondly? Was it besides this one?
Well, yes, this is the apex. I remember two stories I remember that really mean a lot to me in this business is when I took over nights at KTOM, and I was the promotions director at the same time. The program director at the time asked me what I want to accomplish. I said, well, I want to have the #1 show in the market. And he said, well, we have Delilah on the soft rock station in the market. You're not going to touch her numbers. I said, okay. Well, let's see what happens. Inside of a year and a half, I had the #1 rated night show, and I beat Delilah in the ratings, and he took me out to dinner as a result because he didn't think there was any way that could happen. And when I was working in Las Vegas, and I still have the award on my desk actually, I was named the #1 on-air talent out, I think it was outside of mornings in the market, and I did it as a part-timer on the air. And there were other people in the building who consistently won that award every year, and the only year I ever put my air check in for it was the only year that I won it.
All right. What kind of skills, for the people who are watching,
Yeah,
what kind of skills do they need if they want to get into this business?
I would say, kind of going back to what I said earlier, be the person who always says yes. I would say that's the best advice I can give anyone for anything that you get into. Find something you love to do, and always endeavor to be the first person someone wants to call, because realize people are busy. They don't want to have to call 15 different people to get one person to come to do the job. So if they know they call you and you're going to say yes, whatever it is, even if I don't know how to do it, if you have enough faith in me that you're asking me to do it, I will get there and I will figure it out and I will give you the best that I have. And when you're in the building, be in the building mentally, stay focused as much as you can and try to learn from everyone around you.
Okay, and lastly, if I'm looking to get started in this business, what kind of jobs am I looking for? What should I be, thinking about? And
Radio from the programming side, nice thing is you don't need a degree. Some do, some don't. I was going in that direction until I left college and started pursuing it as a career. So I would say, again, just be in the building as much as you can. Learn from those that you respect, that you see are doing a good job at it. You can quickly learn the difference if you hang out with enough people and go to enough stations. And I would say get involved. That's #1, is don't sit on the sidelines, get involved. Come on, we'll follow the blue lines and we'll... Come on in. So thank you very much for being a part of this little, online virtual tour of our stations. We would love it if you actually came by at some point once it's safe for you to do so. In the meantime, be well, be safe, and take care.